Hi, everybody. This is Michelle Cooper. Today, what I'm going to be walking you through is what a board member would experience, how you get the information, how you can interact with the system, and how it's going to be easier than what you're currently doing now, not to mention a little bit more secure. All right, so the first step is really when a meeting has been made active. So it's gone from draft form, it's being sent to you, so you have time to review it before you go to the meeting. That first step looks like this. Keep in mind I'm working out of Gmail, but this can work with any email notification system. It lets you know what the meeting is, the date of the meeting, um, any categories that you may want to put in there, or the agenda creator puts in there. And then, of course, you can click on this link and it will redirect you to that meeting. So I'm already logged into my database, but just to give you an idea, this is what the sign-on would look like. I'd use my username and password, or it may already be saved, so it'll automatically route me to this. All right, so this is my database. I would be automatically routed to that specific meeting. So this is the meeting. I'm going to pretend that we're getting ready to go back in time and go to December 12th meeting. But this is a week before the meeting, however long in advance you get. The next thing I can do is I've got a few options. Obviously, there's not going to be any video or minutes of the meeting until it's been posted and it's already occurred and the minutes have been voted on and approved. The next step I'm going to take is keep in mind you can always print out the agenda. But what I want to point out specifically is when I click on the electronic version, I can pull this up on any device. If you guys go to Australia or you're vacationing and you're sitting there on the beach, and of course you get an alert, and that's the first thing you want to do is hop on your device and be able to see your upcoming meeting and take notes. But in all actuality, it really is not dependent on a specific device. You have your username and password. It's going to match the setup of the device. So if it's an iPad, it'll meet the screen size of the iPad. If it's a phone, or maybe a little smaller, but now that phones are getting about as big as iPads, you can hop from device to device. All right, so I'm going to go into my meetings and I'm going to get ready for this meeting. So here's my upcoming meeting. I'm going to click on view the agenda, and this looks a little different when we log on. The information is still there. All of your content is still there. Everything that you received before is still going to be available within this setup. But I want to explain the method behind the madness. A lot of times we either get these big binders with hundreds of pages, or we're sent a PDF that has links. The issue that we come across is a lot of times this slows down our meeting process. It's hard to navigate. We've got a million different windows open, or we're shuffling through papers either before or after the meeting. So what happens within BoardDocs is we set it up to where your agenda moves up and down, but you never lose sight of your agenda. Even during the meeting live, you can have a little green arrow that points to the item that's being discussed, just in case your council or your board has a tendency to move around. So it helps keep us on track. But then when I click on the right side, all of the details around that item pop up in one window. And again, I still know exactly where I am on the agenda, but I can look through summaries and staff recommendations, even voting recommendations or voting information after the meeting. If there are any attachments, I can open up in one window. If I want to see the video after the fact, this opens up in the same place. So, and the other thing I can do, and I'm looking at Brian's finished product to show you what that might look like. But as a back end user, somebody who has permission level, if I get to this item where it's a consideration of an ordinance, or we get to this item, I want to be able to take notes. I want to be able to open up any of these attachments, maybe strike through, add a little sticky note, but really prepare for the meeting itself. So the way I'm going to do that is by going up to annotations. With annotations, it's a lot of people are so used to paper because we can write notes on it. The problem that we face with that or with other systems is that if I am taking these notes, that does not preclude them from FOIA requests, from sunshine laws, audit purposes. but I really want to be able to be free to take the notes I want to take and not have to worry about, is this going to end up on the news, or is somebody going to misinterpret what I say? So I can go in and say, please, I'm not going to say please myself. I'm going to say, rem- remember to spell right. Remember to ask this question about our codification in regards to this ordinance. Or go TCU frogs. So that's very relevant, right? So I'm going to click save and it saves my notes. It tells me exactly when it was taken. I can print out all my notes or see them in one snapshot in accordance with this meeting. Or I can also go up here, and when I get to this item, it'll be highlighted in yellow so I know I have a note there. The great part about this is these notes are saved in a separate database. Even though they look like they're all one product in one place, that separate database is what keeps you from having your notes included in FOIA requestable information. So it makes it very, very easy to be able to really go in and prepare. I can do it from anywhere. And the next step is really one of the biggest benefits to what we can do here with BoardDocs. It's great that my information's available. It's great that I can do it from a coffee shop or a beach. But if I don't know what I'm looking for, a lot of times that's the case, right? If I want to look up ordinance or if I want to look up a map, that could be anything and anywhere. And especially with our notes, I'm going to have to go back to my office closet and start hunting through piles and piles of paper. What BoardDocs does is it allows you to search all the way down to the attachment level. And it's also set up in a very Google-like search where I can very quickly and easily click on supporting information, or I can pull up this water treatment map. And if this was included in a meeting or minutes, or even in a separate project, it will navigate me back to where that was on that specific meeting. So it makes it very easy to go back and track legislation, and I'll show you what that looks like here. So if I want to go back and look up past resolutions, past ordinances, or even voting information, I can, let's click on actions and resolutions. So I can scroll down here and get a very easy to navigate functional way of seeing everything that's happened with this item. It could have happened on multiple meeting commissions that I'm on, or even meeting committees that I'm not on, but I want to be able to track it because as a council member, it's ultimately going to make its way to council. So I can go in and I'm going to take this item. I want to go back and look at more detail. I can navigate back to where that was on that specific meeting and look at more detail. All right. The last thing I want to show you is that a lot of times what the clerk's department is doing is wrestling with 2 or 3 different versions of the agenda. So you've got your public version, you may have an internal version for department heads, and then finally you've got your board version. And that could be as difficult as printing multiple versions in multiple different copies and reprinting, or it could be printing out board specific information and shoving it in our binders just for the executive team. So what we've done here is BoardDocs has set up different content boxes. So as a creator, they can go in and give a public summary. They can attach attachments. I need to let my legal team know that we've got a legal team or a legal document to review. But you guys are going to have the most information of anybody, and as it should be. So there may be contracts or taxpayer dollar information or staff information that doesn't need to be either in the public's hand now or ever. So I could have an executive summary, or I could have specific documents. All of this is available to me, but that's why you see these different levels of content, is so that you really have full visibility over everything that you're supposed to have visibility over. All right, and the same goes for search. If I'm looking for information, you're going to have greater search capabilities than the public will, because they'll be able to search this content, but not this content and not your notes. All right. Other than that, that is really the involvement of what it takes to be an end user of BoardDocs. We set it up with a concept that information needs to be simple to find, simple to create, and simple to search. Also, keep in mind that BoardDocs is doubly encrypted. We have the same security parameters that are in place for the CIA, the FBI. So a lot of our cities are secure, but we're secure on content that comes in. That does not mean that our content going out is secure, which is why we're at risk for cyber attacks or ransomware. In a city recently, I read about their police and their fire emergency response system being shut down by a 17-year-old because he had hacked into the system and is holding it ransom for $5,000 because 17-year-olds that'll that'll get them out of jail, I guess. I don't know. But just keep in mind Google Docs, SharePoint, that is not doubly encrypted. It is not secure, so you can't be sure that your information is going to be as secure and reliable as it needs to be. All right. So that's my spiel on board access, board usability, and then how the information goes from being created to into your hands. All right. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, reach out. Hope to hear from you soon.